Do you ever wonder how so many kids suddenly became trans? Dr. Nightingale asked. Kevin and Danny exchanged a look, and Esmeralda watched it like a hawk, trying to read it from across the table. Yeah, Danny said. Only Kevin would ever imagine that he might have taken more of an interest in the subject. It's not that they're more than ever, it's that now they have the courage to come out. Nice sentiment, Nightingale said. But no, it's actually pretty sinister. Let's think, hypothetically, what a parent would do if he wanted his kid to be trans. Because let's face it, there have been a lot of parents who wanted it. They want the bragging rights. Here, Kevin thought of Debbie, wanting so bad for him to be gay, really pushing it on him. So, to help kids transition, they're given hormones, right? But how do you make them want to get the hormones in the first place? How do you make someone so sure they're in the wrong body and have been all their life? We've been giving children more vaccines now than ever before, and a bunch of shots since birth. I used to believe what I was told. They're for tetanus, measles, mumps, whatever, until... He put everyone in suspense for a moment by having another bite of paella and making them wait until he'd swallowed. Until I actually read the ingredients. He looked at them heavily and then glanced once more at his wife, who nodded almost imperceptibly. Besides toxins to make them sick, have allergies, and be loyal clients to pharmaceutical companies, we've been shooting boys up with girl hormones and girls up with boy hormones and pretending we're keeping them safe from polio. They grow up with these feelings and urges that completely contradict their nature, and the explanation that's been crammed down their throat is that they're obviously not the gender they were assigned. And why would someone do this? He asked rhetorically, cutting Danny off in a preemptive strike. Because AIDS didn't work. Abortion didn't work. Even turning people gay didn't work. They're still churning out babies, and the people in charge don't like it. They made that movie Idiocracy trying to warn us, and it didn't work. So they started attacking us from birth, shooting our kids up with puberty blockers and hormones so they'll volunteer to castrate themselves as soon as they're old enough. Did they make you read 1984 in school? He asked. Kevin shook his head. That's one of the banned books. Professor Nightingale's eyes narrowed. Of course it is, he said bitterly. Well, in it, they're torturing the hero, and they ask, how many fingers am I holding up? He correctly says 4, and they hurt him again. The next time they ask him, he says 5, whatever you like, just please stop the pain. It's like before the revolution, they were arresting people for calling a man dressed up as a woman he. Anyone who wasn't willing to pretend a man in a wig was a woman was publicly made to suffer until we all capitulated. The trans woman is the new how many fingers. But Abraham Lincoln once asked how many legs a calf has if we count the tail as a leg. When someone said 5, he said, calling a tail a leg doesn't make it a leg. This might be a little over your heads, but I teach it in my college class. The people who control the masses know that if something's going to catch on, it's got to have what they call a low ability threshold. It has to be something that any monkey can do easily, like abstract art or that backpack dance. When the opportunity to be part of something new and trendy is easy as pie, everybody'll hop on the bandwagon. If you tell the world that going to all the trouble of learning how to dance well or painting something realistic is passé, everybody who wants to dance or be called an artist while putting forth minimal effort will jump at the chance. So, the point? Imagine you're not attractive at all and have zero skills or personality. No one's going to want to hang out with you in school. You need to find a way to be relevant. Enter the pronouns. A cheap ticket into the fastest growing clique. Just dye your hair blue or pink or wear the uniform of nonconformity. There's nothing to it. Be the loudest kid shouting fascist at anyone trying to talk sense and willing to glue yourself to things and you'll get invited places. Only I'd peep the lick, as they say. My kids have never had a single shot, and we've kept them as far away from it as anyone who might poison their minds, he said proudly, and the children all beamed without really knowing why. I decided I'd stop participating in the evil and became a history professor instead, so that I can teach people what's happening to them and maybe enough of them can wake up and we can do something about it. But, Danny interrupted, unable to contain himself any longer, you're one of them. You're so pro-party you practically brought them here. Esmeralda glared at Danny, and the children saw it and mimicked her expression. Dr. Nightingale just smiled bitterly and nodded. Not exactly, he said. I met with other men in town, like your father, he nodded to Kevin. We agreed that it was all a trick, the whole woke movement, the riots, to destabilize us and become a communist country. Same thing happened in Venezuela, Colombia, Chile, Argentina, Peru, Canada. When your dad said we had to stand up and be brave and resist, I said we have to be sneaky, like the bad guys. I told your dad, careful, they'll kill you." Kevin swallowed hard and saw that dancing glitter from earlier swirling around Professor Nightingale's face as he spoke. Many people didn't realize that they'd already legally bound themselves by scrolling down and accepting terms and conditions without reading them, namely the part about swearing fealty to the party. Even if they wanted to contest it, they didn't have the chance because the invasion put enemies at their own back door. Did you know the Venezuelan embassy in Iran gave away visas to terrorists? Muslim extremists came over to South America and joined the illegal immigrant caravans, marching all the way up to Arizona, California, Texas. They were bussed all across the U.S. to sanctuary cities, because if you look at a bunch of brown people in a crowd, you can't tell that one is from Latin America and that one's from Pakistan. Not if the only dark people you ever see is on television. So people didn't notice. Hey, those are Hamas, those are Al-Qaeda. What I'm saying is they hit us from every direction. They turned black against white, woman against man, gay against straight, vaxxed against pure blood, and they kept pushing us on all fronts until the breaking point that allowed them the excuse to take over. They brought in sleeper cells to wage jihad when we were all divided, and when the gun-toting white man stood up for himself, they swooped in with their Chinese military to seize the guns and make the switch. And here we are. Did I cheer them on? Hell no. But when I saw that they'd already won, I changed my tune. Yes, I admit it. You can't organize an underground railroad from a jail cell awaiting execution. The boys looked at him skeptically, but Esmeralda reassured them with a tight-lipped smile and a grave nod. "I'm sorry about your dad," Professor Nightingale said. "I tried to talk sense into him, but he wasn't having it. He thought he could vote our way out of this mess. But communism is the kind of thing you can't cure with meetings. You have to shoot your way out, and we have no guns anymore." A sharp knock at the door made them jump half out of their skins.